Michael was a young man in his early 20s with a bright future ahead of him. He was intelligent, charming, and had a great sense of humor. However, he had been struggling with a rare psychiatric disorder known as Fregoli Syndrome. Michael's delusion started when he was a teenager. He began to believe that the people around him were not who they appeared to be. He thought that his parents, siblings, and friends were all imposters, and that the people he saw on TV or in movies were the only ones he could trust. As Michael got older, his delusions became more intense. He became convinced that every person he encountered was actually the same person in disguise. He thought that they were all part of a vast conspiracy to trick him and that he was the only one who knew the truth. This belief made it difficult for Michael to trust anyone, and he became increasingly isolated. He would spend most of his days alone in his room, watching TV or reading books. He was convinced that if he left his room, he would be confronted by the imposters who were trying to deceive him. Despite his delusions, Michael was able to complete high school and even attend college for a short time. However, his condition made it difficult for him to concentrate, and he struggled to form relationships with his classmates. One day, Michael's parents convinced him to see a psychiatrist. At first, he was resistant, believing that the doctor would be just another imposter trying to deceive him. However, after several visits, Michael began to trust the psychiatrist and opened up about his delusions. The psychiatrist diagnosed Michael with Fregoli Syndrome and prescribed medication to help reduce his symptoms. He also recommended cognitive behavioral therapy to help Michael learn how to identify and challenge his irrational beliefs. At first, Michael was skeptical of the treatment, but over time, he began to see improvements. He started to leave his room more often and even went out with his parents to dinner. He still had delusions, but they were less intense, and he was able to recognize when they were not based in reality. As Michael continued with his treatment, he was able to make new friends and even started dating. He learned how to cope with his delusions and was no longer controlled by them. One day, Michael was watching TV, and he saw an actor who he believed was the same person he had seen in a store earlier that day. He felt his anxiety rising, and his old beliefs started to take hold. However, this time, he was able to recognize his delusion for what it was and challenge it. Michael realized that he had made significant progress and was proud of himself for overcoming his disorder. He knew that he would still have to deal with his delusions from time to time, but he also knew that he had the tools and support to manage them. Michael's story is one of resilience and hope. Despite facing a rare and challenging disorder, he was able to seek help and take control of his life. His journey shows that with the right treatment and support, people with mental health disorders can lead fulfilling and meaningful lives.